morning, Oleanne. Welcome to Life22 and other viewers from other parts of the world that are watching. So this is our second ever podcast here from Quinn's. Well, I mean, we did one in St. Patty's Day, so this I guess is our third from here, but it's our second new morning show kickoff. I was trying to be here about 24 minutes ago. Technical difficulties re-signing into the broadcaster. But that's, that is what it is. So you got me for the next, 26 minutes? No, 36 minutes. 36 minutes. And then we're off. But I figured this way, if I did a live stream, you can maybe right into the show. I've got chat options here. You can also messages are visible. Okay, great. So yeah, if you're on YouTube, you can chat right into the show. If you have my cell phone, you can call me right into the show. Yeah, that's it's a pretty good deal. But I figured this way, if we did a live stream right into the just live stream, the quality isn't as good. That's what I've done in the past. I do live shows, but it's like a 20-minute delay between me recording and then me posting it up, because I do get like a 1080p, where with my cameras, if I'm live streaming, capturing every second, it has a tendency to have that like a 720p. So just to give you the better quality, we didn't usually do live, but I figured for time's sake, I don't want to get here at 5 o'clock in the morning and not give you the ability to write into the show. So that on your way to work, whether you're going to work at 6:30 or you're going to work at 7 or maybe even 8 or 9 o'clock, you can still kind of watch the show. So that gives you the ability to have it available that morning, and you don't have to watch it the next morning. Or you can watch whenever you want. You can watch it 3 years from now. It doesn't matter to me. So I was trying to, I was going to come up with a list of things to talk about this morning, and I didn't do that. So, just for anybody who knows me personally, has been following, due to the great Joe Rogan, I drink quite a bit, so I'm following suit with the new holiday, the Sober October. We're doing that, and yeah, so it's good stuff. Been sober since September 30th, so no drinking, no smoking. Not that hardcore drugs are an issue, but none of that either. So usually when I get in here in the mornings, I kick off with an Americano. So a nice espresso with then top the mug, a double espresso actually, and then I top the mug off with hot water. So if any of you don't know that much about coffee, in Europe, literally everything is espresso. So, and only Americans drip, a large quantity of coffee or water through the grounds. And if you want something similar to what you get in America, when you go to Europe, you just get your espresso shot. And instead of nursing that, you add hot water to it and drink it like Americans drink coffee. So that's just a little tidbit about that. Yeah, train of thought, just derailing all day. So Sober October is doing well. So for the family, Lennox is doing well. He's gaining weight. They switched him off the high flow, which is the oxygen, and put him on a lower flow, according to what I'm gathering from not being a medical expert. He's progressing well, so he should be coming home to us here in the next, hopefully the next few weeks to a month. He's 2 months early, so yeah. So in New York last week, if you were here, it was right after I did the last podcast. There was the Powerball and the Mega Millions. I think the Mega Millions is up to $1 billion. Let me know what you think in the comments below or in the live chat. What would you spend your money on if you won the Mega Millions? Now, if you got the lump sum, I believe it's like 300 million, something like that. Which is a big chunk of crump right there. Ducats, man, the Duke's dollars. That's and for those of you who who live in New York, that's funny to us because we call Andrew Cuomo King Cuomo or Prince Cuomo out in Albany, and it's just So it is the king's dollars, right? It's funny. It's all of our taxpayers' dollars. Have you ever seen what was it that the Robin Hood with the cartoon with all the different animals playing Robin? The fox is Robin Hood, and every time I think of paying my taxes, I think of that little turtle that the big rhinoceros is trying to take a penny from. That his little gold shilling, but it's a half a shilling, sir. And he beat the Christ out of him to get it. That's how I view what we pay in taxes in New York State. I'm just a poor little turtle, just making my way slow and sure. Maybe eventually I'll finish the race and I'll come in first, but you never know. So not in this state, and yeah. What would you do with $300 million? That's a good chunk of change. So I know me and Miley sat down and came up with a list of things to do with $300 million. We thought about wow. What did we? I think we talked about some improvements on the house, and then I was mulling this over afterwards because our conversation didn't last that long. But then I saw a Larry Sharp video about how he needed money to finish his campaign and to actually just get advertising and get his name out there. And I thought, man, I got $300 million. I look at that as a win against Cuomo. So hey, I'll take his dollars. I'll take Cuomo's dollars from lotteries and give it to Larry Sharp. That's what I would do with. I think he needed $2 million or something. Like, hey, it's that to $300 million. All right, like all right, I got 298 more to go. So what else could I do good for my state besides end corruption? Oh, hey, that's a feather in my cap, I guess. That's what I would do. But no, I appreciate anybody writing into the show. I know it's early. It is 7:01. 7:01, people. I think there might be a latency delay, so it might be 7:00. It might be just 7 o'clock if you're watching this. But yeah, no, that's what we would do. Make some repairs on the house. I know June's bitches about the windows. We've got 40 windows at our house, and we only got 20 of them that are new. So, there's that. Probably paint a few things. I always wanted to build a deck on the front of the house, so $300 million, be a sweet ass deck. Probably redo the driveway. Little stuff. Get a little bit out of credit card debt, pay off mortgages. You know what I mean? Just be debt free. And then, you always hear about that family that just, I got $1 million. And how quickly like $1 million turns into like $10, and then they're trying to buy their last pack of smokes, and you're like, should have been smart with your money. Yeah, sure, we'd get new cars and all that other stuff, but we would it wouldn't be like lavish things, do the Bill Gates lifestyle. So but yeah, that's that. So I guess that was the Mega Millions. So let's shift gears here and let's talk about local politics, which is not really shifting too much because we were already kind of talking about it with Governor Cuomo, and that was good. So upcoming elections here locally, we've got it's not mayoral, it's a gubernatorial. I don't know how they get a B out of the word governor. So anyways, so it's the gubernatorial race this year, and then we have 3 alderman positions opening in the city of Olean. And then next year's the county race. Yep, county race is next year. So that's a big one. That's when yours truly is up for office as well. The other 4 aldermen are up. But this year we've got Ward 3 with Ward 1 with Linda Witt, and who's the current standing alderman, and her competition is J.R. Benyon, which both we've got phone calls into them to get them both on the show. So this is a call out. If you haven't returned your phone call, calling you out. We want to do an interview with candidates. I think that'll be cool. I think that'll be fun. It'll give you an idea of what the candidates bring to the table. It'll also tell you kind of it'll be nice to see them. I mean, I know the Times Herald does something with them, but that's always, the news reporter does as best he can with his assignments, and I give him props for that. But he usually has to bring his computer from home, and they've got that old, they got the old reels. It's like something from Mickey Mouse, the old reel cameras and stuff set up, and it's just very behind the times. So hopefully, if we do something, we'll have higher quality. It might not be a live stream because I probably won't get up here at 6 o'clock in the morning, but at least then you'll have it in higher quality as well. Then Ward 3 unopposed is standing alderman Paul Gonzalez. I've already reached out to him, so hopefully we get him on the show before the November election. And then the final one is Ward 5. Yeah, Ward 5, John Crawford. And I know he's being opposed, not a write-in, but a non-party affiliated candidate, Scott the Human Paletto. So that'll be dicey. It's always a little excitement. It's always good to see some competition in the political realm, because otherwise it's the business as usual is one of the stigmas people use. I don't see business as usual, but it's always exciting to shake things up. It reminds other people that have already in office, like yours truly, that you can be taken out at any time, and it's somebody else's job, and they can undo what you've done. They can, and it all depends on who gets it, And I've seen a lot of people that spend a lot of time making things right, and things start going well, and somebody else comes in and has a completely different idea and undoes everything, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, things went back to the way they were because you didn't like what they were doing, and now they're back, and everybody says business as usual. But what they don't do is what they don't have is patience, and a lot of this, it's government. I didn't realize it was that bad until I got into government. It was pretty intense. You get into it, and people are trying to put the brakes on at every corner. I remember going door to door, talking to 80-year-old ladies going, hey, stop signs. If they mean stop now, change it. I want you to change everything. Throw the book out. I don't want anything illegal. I want things that are, if breathing is legal, make it like they wanted the entire system like it was opposite day. That was what they wanted. And so I run, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're going to get rid of this, and it's, we're going to slightly change the parking ticketing rule, and it was just like little things like, all right, and it just, people lost their damn minds. It was like, oh, what are you doing? You can't change anything. Things are perfect the way they are. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's mind-boggling, because all the people that voted for you tell you one thing, and then everybody uptown and everybody across the city tells you completely different. Because currently the city's working on a charter revision, which should be good for the city, because our founding fathers wanted us to revise things all the time, constantly living and breathing, revising things, and not sticking directly to the letter of their what their words meant, or with the exact way that they structured their words, but the intent of it. So, that's. We're dealing with a 25, 30-year-old system, so it doesn't hurt to do that. Yeah. So, but that's, yeah, and with all these upcoming politicians coming on the show, I think that'll be a good experience for the taxpayer to see who they've got electing them, and they don't have to have the random stylings of Lucas Winky, filming him on his Galaxy S480p phone, streaming to only Facebook Live. So, that's right, Luke, making fun of you on my show. wasn't even that big of a barb. So, but yeah, no, it's getting dark out. It's getting dark out at 6 o'clock in the morning. So watch out for deer on the roads for those of you who live outside of the city, and those who live down by the tank lots down on the west end. Yeah, cold and flu season. Be mindful of your children. Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about this morning. You got me for another 21 minutes before this shop opens, and we get a barrage of customers coming in and interrupting your one-on-one time with this guy right here. Yeah, Mega Millions. We talked about local politics. Trying to think what I read the other day. DRI Grant Funding. Miss Della Moore would like, I'm sure, well, I get 100% speak for her, but I'm sure she's super excited about the African American Center for Cultural Development that is going in uptown. It's going to be there's going to be a museum during the day. They're going to have a full kitchen, ADA compliant bathrooms, and at night there's going to be events. They're going to have music, sit-down dinners, stand-up comedy, and that's big for this area. And it's right in the epicenter of uptown. It's African American Center for Cultural Development, right across the street from Lincoln Park, named after Abraham Lincoln, who was a big historic figure during the Civil War for trying to free the slaves. So that was a big touching point for Della, and but it's construction, and we're dealing with New York State, so I mean, construction is always slow process. You've got to follow all their mandates and rules, and you have to spend way more money than you have to, especially on that if taxpayer dollars are involved. They want you to spend it all, and they want you to spend as much as you can because they're all about wasting it. So that's project like that I can come do for like $125,000. The state wants us to do $300,000, and they're willing to waste $225,000 of taxpayer dollars. It's not a waste because of the project. It's a waste because they insist on all these little things. Like if it was just me doing it, $125,000. That's material and labor, and that's just me there swinging a hammer, screwing a screw gun, running it, and it's like a wow moment. You're talking to everybody, you're like, but, and it's like, but nobody's listening to you. Nobody hears this guy saying, well, but if the state just said, here's $125,000, make it happen, we'll save the taxpayers $100,000, and it makes your life a little easier, they're not going to do that because they're too busy like just chasing that corporate skirt. They got oh, hey, you're a politician, here's some money for your campaign, and then you're a women's rights activist, or you're a minority leader. Like, okay, well, I'll make this mandate that says that you have to hire only minority companies from the Bronx. So you have to import people from the Bronx to Western New York. Well, that's bonkers. Because it's nuts because there's like one minority-owned company, in this area. There's like 4 of them or whatever, and there's like 3 women-owned companies. It's just, the state, you look at it and I looked at a 40-page legal document that has to be signed, and it's like there's so many little rules. It's like, Jesus, you got to pay $100,000 to have a lawyer translate this to layman just so you can get it done. And it's like, well, there goes taxpayer dollars right there. It's just, and then you got to think about like what lawyers are writing this stuff. So they're billing the state prevailing wage, which is something the average citizen doesn't know about. Prevailing wage is where you pay. You have to pay the prevailing wage of the state. So we're in Western New York, in our local economy, people are getting $10.40 an hour, right? That's not your, and that's the part I hate about minimum wage, because it takes the negotiation between the employer and the employee out of it. And the state mandates, okay, all this person has to do is show up to work, and you have to pay him $10.40 an hour. It's not like, yeah, but the guy's drooling on his shoelaces. Like, why do I have to pay somebody $10.40 an hour to drool on their shoelaces? That's ridiculous. Like, if you for $10.40 an hour, I want you showing up, and I want you cleaning, and I want you, you know, sweeping up, and I want you, you know what I mean? Like, run a cash register, deal with customers with a smile. Like, that's it. Like, if you go above and beyond, and you're at it for years, and you're dedicated, like, yeah, then you get a raise, and you start making more money. But, like, I mean, I've run into so many people, it's like, they start, like, sucking on a hammer or a screwdriver it's bonkers. And then by the time the employer's done paying it, they get their, you know, it's 15% FICA withholding, and we've got to match it. And, you know, it's like, she ended up paying like $13 an hour for all these yahoos. And it's like, yeah, you get a couple diamonds in the rough. But so prevailing wage is where, like, you'd expect like a custodian to, you know, to clean toilets and to wipe down walls, and, you know, maybe they're not a maintenance type person, so maybe they don't, you know, fix a squeaky door hinge, or, you know what I mean? It's they're just cleaning up, sweeping and mopping, you know. Okay, everybody's got to make a buck, right? So, like, all right, so they're making minimum wage, right? Well, but if you're doing a state job and it's prevailing wage, and you need to hire somebody to sweep up after the job sites to keep it clean, to keep things moving, you got to pay this guy prevailing wage, and prevailing wage for a custodial staff is like $29 an hour. Plus full pennies. That's ridiculous. $29 an hour? I don't make that. There's a lot of people that don't make that. Like, $29 an hour, that's just, like, I get it if you were like you know, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, you know what I mean? Somebody who has years in the field, and they work their way up to like $35 an hour, right? Like, you get it. But, like, the sweeping and mopping guy is like nipping at your boot heels. There's, like, something's wrong with the system here. Like, okay, like, there's skilled labor, there's, you know, like, training, and then there's, like, like, I learned how to sweep and mop at 10. So, like, if I get a job sweeping and mopping, I would not expect anybody to pay me more than, like, 11 or 12 bucks an hour. You know what I mean? And that's like a high mark. Like, I'd be probably expecting like 10.40. And if somebody was like, hey, you know, you do it really fast, and, you know, you get it done, and, like, you go home early, and you're really getting shorted hours for what we budgeted for this, you know what I mean? And they feel bad, you know, you give them 12 bucks an hour. You know, but to pay $28 an hour, prevailing, you know what I mean? And so, like, some of the serious tradesmen, through prevailing wage, because now the bottom of the line is the minimum wage for state jobs, and prevailing wage minimum wage is $28 an hour. So now you got to think, like, carpenters, you know, or just general laborers, the guys that go and get the lumber off the truck. Okay, that's a little heavy lifting, a little more to it than just sweeping and mopping. You know, so they're getting. They're getting 35, and then you start going up the ranks, and you're like, you know, okay, journeyman plumber, you know, 50, and then all of a sudden, you know, master plumbers are getting $92 an hour, and it's like, and then people are like, why is the state spending so much money? It's because they have this, like, ridiculous, like, union negotiation across the state to say, well, if you're doing state jobs, you've got to pay all these guys, like, ridiculous amounts of money, and we're about efficiency in this state, right? Like, no, of course not. No, we're about wasting the taxpayer's dollar. Like, I'm not, but at a state level, they're doing that. And it almost comes to a point that, like, New York State will file bankruptcy so many times that the state will have to step in and play Big Brother. Because I know if the city does that, or any township, the state steps in and plays Big Brother and, like, gives you money so that you don't file bankruptcy, or so you don't fail, and then they put you back on the right path. And then you pretty much are the bitch of the state for, you know, however long until you get your stuff together. But, I mean, the state's causing all the problems, so I guess I don't blame the state for coming in to try to fix their mess. Because, you know, for every 9 pennies, or for every 10 pennies collected, every dime, like 9 pennies of it go to the state. Like, and then the state goes around and just gives money to everybody else, you know, and every so often our area gets money. Like, why don't you just give the state 1 penny? We'll let them keep our income tax, and then let the tax dollars stay in New York State, like, stay in our local economy. That's where I was watching a piece together video last night, Larry Sharp versus Andrew Cuomo, and that was. And sorry to keep getting political with you guys, but this is just the stuff that weighs on me, man. This is like everyday stuff. So, if if you want your Life22 custom decaled mug, if you got your own, if you want one of our generic stock, we can produce them for you. Hashtag Life22. So just in case you're really big fans of the show. So, but yeah, no, I mean, local politics is local and governor, the state and federal politics. That stuff, I got so much going on that I can't just constantly keep tabs on it. But it's nice, the invention of social media and the ability for people to podcast. I'm able to catch, and people that have, the technology in general, just where people can piece together. They talked about different issues, and then they took clips of these different people talking about these different things from, like Cuomo had done different debates and different speeches and stuff, and they were kind of putting them back and forth because it's business as usual. Politics don't want to do live debates, which I am all for. And please also post in the comments, do you want to see live debates of your local politicians? I cannot stress enough how important that is. But also, I wouldn't be able to get Andrew Cuomo here. I know I could get Larry Sharp because I mean he's out walking the beat, banging doors. I mean I probably could get him here, but I would not be able to get. I probably wouldn't be able to get King Andrew because CBS can't get King Andrew. So, local politicians. We're going to interview Paul Gonzalez. There's nobody for him to debate. Maybe get a Linda Witt and J.R. Benyon debate. That'd be nice. I'd like to. J.R.'s a little bit of a hothead from time to time, so that would be kind of cool. And Linda can be assertive when she has to be. So the two of them in the room would be spicy. I think that would be really cool. So, and then you've got Scott and John. Scott Paletto. Scott Paletto is quite the public speaker. I wouldn't say that he's got the most finesse, but he's like a mega church preacher, right? Like those the televangelists. He's the cometh now. We shall talk about water leaks. He just the whole. I see him quite a bit, and I hear him talk, and you know what I mean. Sometimes his talks are rantings and ramblings. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself, but he's not shy. So I mean that in itself, I think, would make a great debate. John is very concise. He's fiscally, he's fiscally minded. So I think it's kind of like watching a boxing match. Now, I'm not much into sports. I've been trying to get into more sports, but when I was a kid, my grandfather was a boxer for the USO, or he was a trainer for the USO guys. So they pulled him out of the motor pool, and he would spar with some of the USO fighters, and so I got to learn a lot about boxing from my dad and from him. My dad can't fight his way out of a paper bag, but. He knew the techniques and he knew the style, and so there was two different styles that I grew up with. There was, you had your southpaws, you guys that were in there just making precise punches, and that's your John Crawford. Then you got your brawlers, the guys that are just big meatheads and just kind of just throwing, and as long as you can get around this wide arm span, you can make it in, and then you start jamming their core. But they're also big beefy guys, so you got to make a lot of precise throw punches, and you know what I mean? You got to hit them where it counts, because you got to do more damage with one punch, because they're going to hit you with a whole bunch of just big meaty punches, right? And you can dodge those, right? So I would see that style, that kind of a debate between John and Scott, where Scott's kind of like right in your face, and he's kind of jamming stuff at you, and he doesn't do his homework as much, so he'll ask people on the street what their you know what I mean, what the problems are, and then how to solve the issues. But I mean, a lot of the people on the street don't do their homework, so it's like you're asking the kid that's in the back of the class sleeping, what current events are, and where like John's at the front of the class listening intently. You know what I mean? So it's like, so he knows, you know, and he's getting it right from the teacher, right from, you know, what, you know, everything is. So that's kind of a, well, it's lightening up outside. But yeah, no, that's I think that would be a great debate. Also, we coming up, I know I promised Kevin Bartholomew that we would do a roast of him at his last public comment. He mentioned how people have the stigma that why should I give my opinion on local politics? Why should I give my opinion up at public comment? Not him, because he loves to come up to public comment. He will come up there, just tell you about his lunch. No, he wants to make sure that people recognize that this process is in place for whatever, right? Like for the public to speak their views, right? And that's, I mean, to me, that's all it is. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's like, other people add other rules to it, like, well, you know, it has to be related to pertaining to city business. It's like, no, I mean, it's public comment. Like, there's no other forum for local Joes like Kevin to go up there and speak their mind and tell you about whatever. Like, whether, you know, there's just a bad batch of, you know, chicken noodle Campbell's soup being sold at like a local gas station or whatever. Like, he can talk about that because that's his forum. You give him that place to talk about that stuff. So, I mean. But yeah, no, I mean, he said a lot of people think that that the council's degrading, which I don't see that. I mean, we always listen intently. Sometimes you might get an eye roll or something when somebody starts rambling about, because there is a lot of rambling, and people will ramble about things that aren't 100% correct. Like, I can't believe you're filling the potholes with dirt. Like, it's not dirt. I mean, it's stone mixed with asphalt, which, you know, it's mixed with tar, which makes asphalt. And they get it really hot, and then they roll it with a steamroller. You know what I mean? So, or a press, or a motorized tam. So that's, I mean, those are different things that come up, and you know, so I mean, you'll get an eye roll when somebody says the dirt, or, you know what I mean, or somebody says something really like just off, like, what? That doesn't happen. Like, you get that look from somebody though, that whole what? What are you talking about? Like, you get that what are you talking about look sometimes, because. I mean, it's improper news coverage. People take the time to come up and gripe about something, but they don't take the time to like actually figure out like what the issue was. I mean, if they had come to a meeting, and that's why I'm with Paul Gonzalez on the whole like you know, actually broadcasting this stuff on YouTube. I think every one of our meetings should be broadcasted. I think that's a great idea. But so because of that, because of stigmas people get, because of like different, like, what are you talking about? We don't do, you know what I mean? Where have you been? We don't do that. You know, Kevin said that people on the street have told him that they don't want to come up because they think that we're just gonna do what we want, and it's not that. We take everybody's opinion into consideration. It's just, I mean, if it's pertinent or not. Like, if we're talking about patching roads, you're talking about chicken noodle soup. I mean, we'll take we took that into consideration, but it does not meet criteria for potholes, you know what I mean, or fixing roads. So, like, we took it into consideration and immediately discarded it because it had nothing to do with the topic. So, I mean, there are a lot of that goes on, and so, but I wanted, you know, I think moving forward, the live streaming of or even just videotaping and posting the next day of meetings would be great. But to Kevin's point, though, you know, we've never barbed him, except for maybe I've done it after a meeting, but he barbs me back. So, but I told him, I said we should Life22 should sponsor a roast of Kevin Bartholomew. So I'm putting together a list of roasters. So also submit an email. Jeezaloo, let's see. I'll get that email address for you guys here in just a moment. Oh man. Lagging down the live stream. Oopsies. So while that loads, I'll get you an email. If you want to be a roaster, I believe that's what they call them. If you want to be a roaster of Kevin Bartholomew, we still have to pick the venue. But we're looking for well-spoken people that know Kevin, that want to barb him, and you know, if you have any interest in that, please email us at life, L-I-F-E, 00022 @gmail.com. Some bastard took my took Life22 @gmail, so I had to be a little. I had to improvise and put in those 3 zeros. So it's Life22 @gmail.com. Email me or comment below if you're interested in being a roaster, or if you have something to talk about. Maybe you want to come on the show. Get a hold of us. We'll be here Tuesdays and Thursdays. I can also, you know what I mean, depending on your what you want to do as a guest. You're more than welcome to. We can do an interview after, an interview or a one-on-one afterwards. After those times, and we can set up something and go on the podcast. So, but just reach out to the show. We're here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Quinn'sWake Coffee House. Stop in for a good cup of coffee. Delicious. Americanos, espresso drinks. Nice warmth and wholesome people here. So, and then the other thing was, and at the time we are here. I'm here doing this podcast. I'm shooting to start them around 6:30 and go right until open at the coffee shop. So, between 6:30 and 7:30, plan on doing an hour. If we run light. Today I kind of rambled for a good portion of it. Next Thursday I will be better scripted, so you see less ums and let me think of a topic. I had the Powerball one sit in the back of my head for a while. So, but it is 7:30, folks. Enjoy your drive to work. If you don't catch me later, enjoy me on your lunch break. I'm like a classic BMT. Good for breakfast, good for lunch, and good for dinner. So, Life22 signing out, and we will catch you guys on Thursday. Peace.